I am not seeing the chat, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll look at that.
Frameshift drive charging.
Okay, we're live. Welcome everyone, this is Distant Radio 3305 with our weekly interview. Tonight we've got a special guest and before we introduce him, we will of course introduce my accompanying hosts, which are Dr.Nagi and Eoraptorur.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
And our special guest is Obsidian and say hello.
There. Thanks for having me along.
How are you doing tonight?
Good, thank you. It's great to be here.
Nice. It's been a rocky road to get you on this radio. We've been trying to get you on for a while, and we've been told you were all over the place, so we've been very, very patient, and the patience has been paid off. Has been paying off. Here you are.
We're here now.
Very glad to have you. Yes, first something about yourself. I don't think we need much introduction at this point, but for those who don't know you, who are you and what are you doing?
Yeah, so mainly a YouTuber, content creator over on YouTube. I do live stream as well from time to time, but in YouTube videos, and the bulk of those are Elite Dangerous focused. I'd say probably 70% maybe of my content is, which I've been playing since the premium beta 14, so followed the game along since the Kickstarter really, since 2012, and started making some videos, and got quite heavily into YouTube, and it all went from there really.
How exactly did you hear about Elite Dangerous for the first time?
So I never played the first Elite. Some of my friends did play Elite back in the 80s. I'm 43 by the way, so I was old enough to have played the first game. I did have a Spectrum. Yeah, a couple of my friends played it on the Commodore, but I never got into it. But I did play Elite 2 or Frontier Elite 2 on my Amiga. Probably one of my favourite games of all time. Big fan of it. An eye out for anything Elite related, and then I heard about the Kickstarter in December, wasn't it? December 2012.
But you
I don't know, you probably know the history of it.
Would you recommend for younger folks that didn't play the older Elite games and that were playing Elite Dangerous now to try out the older games at one point?
It's definitely worth having a look at them. I wouldn't say you'd necessarily want to invest hours and hours into them, but they're definitely worth having a look at. If only, I guess, you can see the history of where Elites come from, and also because they were pretty their times, and there wasn't really anything else like them back then. In terms of gaming, they're kind of a piece of history, really.
Yeah, I think for the time, even if it wasn't... Well, I've never played the game, but I saw the graphics and a few videos about it, but I even think the graphics were ahead of its time back then, because it was using a special rendering system. I don't know what it's...
I always kind of got the impression that those games must have been way harder than Elite Dangerous is. Or even was before the latest updates, where it got a lot easier for new players. But
the original.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the original Elite was well known for being very difficult back then. A lot of people couldn't even dock effectively.
I've tried the first Elite on the mobile, and it turned out well. It's an old game, but in the first scene you must shoot down some pirates, and that was sort of easy, but the rest of the game I don't know how it works. It's really hard.
Okay. Yeah, kind
Oh.
of thought so. Older games always have that kind of reputation,
And-
but they've been harder.
Yeah,
than
it kind of
today's
makes me
games.
want to try it out because
Fuel scooping complete.
most games are just too easy.
Yeah, it was one of the things that was different about Elite back then. It wasn't score based. It wasn't a platformer. Most games were kind of platformers or top down, I guess would have been the term for back then. But entirely different.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Most games were something like the predecessors to Super Mario and games like that, but
Yeah,
Elite
things like
was,
that. Or even
Elite just spawned a whole nother kind of gaming experience.
yeah, I believe it was probably the first open world games. Is that back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, of
You
course.
progressed
I
from
think Wing
A
Commander
to
and all
B,
the
from
great
level
stuff.
1 to level 2, and that was it.
I want to try it out. Is it free or does it cost money to get it?
It's free so far.
Yeah, you can get it
Oh,
from the Frontier store. It's available. The first one is at least, and that's free.
Yeah. Actually,
Nice.
I'm more curious about the second one actually.
Yeah.
How
First one still.
reality, but there are some online emulator websites where you can run a lot of old 16-bit games. Google search would find them for you. You can get a lot of Amiga games and 16-bit era games, and they're running your browser.
Yeah.
Anything nowadays?
Yeah, I
So
think-
what
Two
have
is actually
you
on one of those, but
what have you mainly been doing back then in Elite 2?
mainly do. Trading was the thing then. Memory being better than what the actual thing was like, but I always remember trading being caught by pirates. Of course, supercruise in the same way that there is now, and you'd hyperspace jump from one system to another, and when you were in the next system or in your current system and you wanted to fly to a planet, that on regular thrusters, or they would accelerate up to pretty much infinite velocity, I think, but you had to accelerate time, otherwise you'd literally be there forever. So you basically had a module in your ship that would allow you to increase the speed of time.
Oh, that reminds me of the X series. Those have
Yeah,
that
it's
thing
that
on
same
the-
principle, exactly the same sort of thing. So yeah, there's been a lot of time
By the
building
way,
up from one ship to the other. Another nice touch, something I did back then, was mining. You could actually you could go and purchase a mining drone,
Frameshift drive charging.
planetary bases or space stations. Then you could fly to a planet, find a area where you may want to mine on, and then deploy the drone. Or you could fly away and then come back sometime later, whether that was hours, days, or weeks later, and collect the drone and all the material that it's mined for you.
so
totally
basically
different from now.
you already had some sort of more advanced equipment for mining than we have now.
Yeah, you could set up whole mining via drones, just doing the mining for you.
I think I'm getting some Discord cut-offs here. I don't know, Michael, how is it on your end?
Yeah, I'm getting just a few,
General or from my end.
just the little glitches. But it's on my end too. It shows me my connection is getting bad. But so far, nothing got inaudible.
I
So,
just
it should be
noticed
going.
some words are missing.
Yeah, help.
Okay, it sounds fine this end to me. That sounds okay.
Okay. Anyways, let's get back to Elite Dangerous and what you actually do in Elite Dangerous. You said you are a content creator. Can you tell us more about how that actually started?
One thing I've always liked a lot about Elite was exploration for me, and that was really where I started doing proper videos. Well, my very first videos, there was kind of the alpha demo I don't know if you guys would have seen that, but basically they're similar to the challenges that are still available in the game, where you just had to take down a certain amount of sidewinders in a certain time. And so basically they were the very of Elite Dangerous when it come out in alpha, and when I got access to it, it was during premium beta, so we kind of got access to that as well. Getting into the game at that point was fairly expensive. I think it was about the £80 or £100 mark, so not everyone waiting for the later phases. So a lot of people were very interested, and as soon as I had access, I kind of thought here to make a few videos just so people could see what it was all like. Videos were just, you know, very basic things. We going through these challenges. The game started opening up more as they started putting more systems into the game. A bit of exploration, and that was pretty much my first series, exploring Elite Dangerous.
So
I released only released a single video per week.
yeah, that's actually a lot if you think about how long you're doing this, and it's been becoming more than one video pretty early. Oh god, it's a nightmare scrolling down on your channel.
Takes also a lot of time.
It just
Yeah.
never ends.
There was over 1,000 videos now. I don't know the exact number, but over 1,000. I know that.
When did you reach that mark?
Yeah, I think 1,000 videos. I'm not sure exactly where it is now. I'd have to look. I think it might be 1,200 videos.
Just a second. It said 1086 videos.
96. So yeah, I suppose I average out 3 to 4 videos a week. About 16 a month.
Not bad.
Yeah, 50 videos a month. So yeah, it's quite a while ago. I got past 1,000.
That's to go to up to
And
the
the live streams as well, I guess. So
2000.
yes, got a little way till 2,000. I'd have to kick it up a bit. Kick it up a gear. 3 videos a day.
Work harder.
But I've
But of course, it's more about the quality and not the the quantity. Oh,
Yeah, I've always preferred to go the full-on edited route. And I like doing Let's Plays. A little bit easier to do because you can like play 30 minutes of game and just upload that 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Bit easier. I do Let's Plays that often. I do prefer to do edited videos, but you know, a 5-minute video can take anything from 5 to 10 hours. So
Yeah.
in them.
It's,
So,
it's
how-
always a little strange doing live stuff if you're not used to
yeah.
it.
How would you
As well, they're very
describe
different.
the videos you are making to someone who has absolutely no idea? What kind of videos are you making?
So someone who has no idea about something like Elite, or someone who has no idea about something like YouTube.
No idea about you, basically.
So in terms of for Elite or my style of videos, I always kind of try and describe it as a little piece of story, if I can. We were talking about. I mean, I'll do the news videos. They're structured like a regular news broadcast or a news format. Then we'll have something like I released the other day, which I haven't done for a while. In those, but they take quite a lot of work. I don't know if you saw the one, Future of Elite Dangerous, which was basically a little mini documentary. Longer,
Yeah, I
I'd
just
have liked to
saw
have made
it.
it about 15
Perfect.
minutes long, but about 5.5 minutes. But that was about 3 days' work to get that one done. I
Quite
prefer
a lot
to.
of work for 5 minutes of video, but
I'd like them to be 15 to 20 minutes long, but you're talking a lot of that
yeah,
sort of.
still,
length.
I just watched it just before the show, so I still enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed it because your videos are, well, rather short and informative, and well, you keep them at a certain level of duration to what's it called? God damn it! You keep the balance between length and information.
It can be difficult sometimes. My earlier videos were a lot longer. I tended to used to aim for. Sometimes I'd go over, but I think sometimes people could find they were making the videos. I found
And
out
you've
that you
just
can.
been cutting out for Quietus.
Yeah, you can cut unneeded stuff out and don't repeat stuff too much. It's easier to fall into the trap of, especially if you're
Yeah.
working on a script as you go in. You may work on 2 minutes of footage and a couple of hours later, and you add another bit of footage on. Not really necessarily realise that you've already said something similar to what you'd said. Early on, that was quite a problem, and it's something I've learnt not to do.
How are you working with the video processing, like at the start and at the end? How...
To an end. So whenever I play Elite, I'm always recording. If I play Elite, or if pretty much if I play any game, I'm always recording. So that way I've always got a B-reel, always got stock footage.
Mhm.
When I make a news video, for example, or to cover a topic that's going on, I've always got something that I can play in the background. Yeah, I'll do it. The other thing is, if I want to make a video on a specific subject, then I'll have to obviously go out and teach for that specific subject. I use OBS.
Like all of us.
Yeah. I used to use Shadow Play, but I found it corrupted so much footage. It was never really reliable, at least for me. Back to it and find it was all pixelated and glitchy, and it just looked terrible.
I
Yeah,
use
Always,
Fraps
like
for it.
50% of the time. Fraps is good. It'll get very good image quality for Fraps, but you do end up with.
I use
Files.
Meritus Action for recording.
Um,
But it's
that's-
it's a payware tool, so
I've
while
used
we're
a
at
lot
this,
more of the time.
you say you're recording all the time. So, how much hard drive space do you have?
I have to get hard drives every month or so. I'll get another hard drive. I've got about 3 or 4 5 terabyte hard drives.
That's
Obviously, but
less than I thought.
really, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is the good thing is with OBS, it's just go into a file here. You can get reasonably good quality, and you've got to factor in the fact that whilst I could capture absolutely massive bit rates, I mean, you've uploaded it to YouTube and they do their thing. It's never going to look that great anyway.
Yeah, true.
I mean, there's ways of getting it to look great, but it's a trade-off. That sort of storage, is it worth that sort of file size? So I've got a file here, 1.7 gigabytes. That's 20 minutes.
that sounds reasonable.
Not bad.
No, that
Bad.
sounds fine. But if
So,
you
yeah, in terms of
play-
footage, I've got many hours of it.
well, it's still
Like per 10 minutes, I'd say.
it's still a lot if you sum it up. I just thought for the time you were streaming until now, it should have been more than 4 or 5 terabytes.
Oh no, I've got 4 or 5 hard drives, each of about that.
Oh,
So
okay.
probably
that's-
about 15 to 20 terabytes in
that's
total.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
in terms of hard drive space,
I got
yeah.
that wrong then in the first place.
But I probably wasn't that clear in the way I said it.
No, you've
yeah,
been cutting
so-
out a few seconds there.
But what happens as I capture the footage that I'm playing? Obviously, for the most part, I don't need footage. So if I'm playing for an hour, I don't need that entire hour of footage. Keep all of the footage where I'm inside the ship, unless I'm doing something that I think might be useful, maybe a bit of combat or maybe a bit of mining. You've just deployed the probes, or you've just cracked the asteroid, or you just something's happening interesting when you're docking. Then if I'm inside the ship at those particular moments, I'll keep that footage. But if I'm just flying about, if I'm just doing regular activities, it's the vast majority. I only keep external shots.
Oh.
Maybe I'm playing for an hour, I may end up only with 5 minutes of usable footage out of that. Just edit that footage down to just that 5 minutes and scrap the rest.
So speaking
You're
of
going to end up with hours and hours of footage that's not really
Yeah.
So whilst you've got many hours of gameplay, many hours of recording initially, you kind of chop down the stuff you don't really need. Otherwise, it's just, well, look how many jumps you do on Distant Worlds. I don't keep all of the jumps on Distant World 2 footage.
A lot.
It's traveling to Hutton Orbital. I don't really keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would watch that? 1.5 hours just
Well, you
going
could try
straight.
it. I'll upload the Hutton Orbital video. Something for April 1st.
Yeah, I mean, that's for a meme kind of video, yeah.
Yeah.
But usually not.
Ah, you're looking at it wrong. It's ASMR.
when you talk during that, that's a different matter.
No, it's just the noise of space. The noises your ship makes.
Background sound. You can actually, if you go on YouTube, you often see that the old ambient noise videos. I've come across, the Star Trek background noise of the Star Trek engines, of the Enterprise, and you get like a 10-hour video of it or something.
Michael once shared a 10-hour bacon frying video.
No, not 10 hour, 2.5 hour, but it's still nice.
I know someone else with
Yeah,
a
yeah,
10-hour one.
All these ones that your cat's purring. 10 hours of your cat purring.
Oof.
Sounds nice.
I don't know what kind of
But,
effects it would have on me.
And
Well-
if you don't like cats.
Yeah, he's a cat.
Yeah.
Actually, is a cat. Well, let's get back to Elite.
Yeah, when you said recording your regular gameplay, what are you doing? What's your day in Elite Dangerous like?
The thing I like doing the most is, I mean, I've got, I forget the exact total I've got 5 or 6 game accounts now. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most people now have got quite a lot of game accounts. It makes it a lot easier, doesn't it, when you want to
Oh yes. And
be in different locations.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it really just depends what I want to do. My favourite activity probably is still exploring. So finding different. It's weird in a way because you often hear people say everything's the same in Elite.
Yeah.
And in a way,
it's
everything
not-
kind of is the same in Elite, but it's not so much looking for a particularly interesting planet, although they are out there. There are unique far and few between, but it's more the combination of different things.
Yeah.
Finding a
But basically, you
with
never
a
know
nice
what's out
coloured
there.
moon and it's nearly always the combination of things.
When you go out exploring, a lot of times, or pretty often, I read on the forums. So, hey, I'm new to the game. I want to go exploring. Can you give me some advice? What I should look out for? How would you answer that kind of question? Or what would you go out and look for specifically when you go out exploring?
There's so many different ways of actually or pretty much everyone's going to have a different answer to that, and if you look for, you're gonna never really find anything else. But for me, I tend to I'll plot a course, maybe 1,000 light years or something like that, in pretty much any direction unless I'm going towards Div, and then I'll just jump in to the system, do a honk. If look at the system, if there's a decent number of planets in there,
Frameshift drive charging.
there's good systems out there, and I've found them before where you'll find an absolutely stunning planet or really worlds with just a system which has got maybe 3 or 4 planets in. But I've found you've just got to kind of draw a line in the sand. Well, I don't stop in a system unless it's got more than 10 or 15 planets or 10 bodies in it, for example. Puts a threshold there where you can
Why
And look at
does
that
it make
system.
sense
if I find you plot 1,000 light years and you've got all those jumps across those,
Fuel scooping complete.
and if you're going to stop in every single system, it takes forever and anything. And also depends on what I'm looking for. I will filter the stars. habited or Earth-like type worlds.
But do you
Then I
think
fall
it's
to the stars for the
more
rest of them.
do you think it's more probable for Earth-like worlds or interesting planets to be in systems that have more planets, or would as probable for systems that have less than 10 planets?
Elite's pretty accurate, although it does have some weird outliers. It does have some weird glitches from time to time. Of the Goldilocks zone, the area in the star system where it should be inhabitable in terms of and temperature and all that lot. And I've done a video on this in the past. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but there's actually a tool out there. And it's not for Elite Dangerous. It's a pure scientific tool where you can program in some parameters of a star system, and you can set, and it basically shows you where the inhabitable zone of any star system would be, and then the size of the sun and the temperature of the sun and all this lot, and that habitable zone would slide either closer to the main star or further away, depending on the conditions of that solar system. And that if there's more system, there's more chances that at least one of those is going to be within that habitable zone, because generally speaking, the habitable zone is, if you think of our solar system, it's only really, and Mars just about fits in, and that's quite a relatively small slice. Our system,
true.
we consider what's in front of us and all the way out to Pluto and beyond.
Yeah, if you can imagine how big the solar system actually is, or rather how large the distances are between the bodies.
I mean, just
Exactly.
just look at Arcanar. It's a B class star, I think, or is it an O class? And Capital is an Earth-like world, and it's over 20,000 light seconds away from the main star.
Yeah, it's just it can be the same. It just vary so much. Few of planets, whether depends on what I'm feeling like at the time. Sometimes it'd just be 10, sometimes it'd be 15 or whatever. But the more planets there are in a star system, I always find that there's a higher chance that one of those planets at least is going to be within the habitable zone. So the more likely it's going to be a water world, or more likely it's going to be an ammonia world or an Earthlike or something like that.
Okay. So
Drop in there. I see a question in chat. Is it all right for you?
which chat? Oh, there.
Yeah.
When did the voiceover work for Obsidian? Wait, just one. When you did voiceover work for Obsidian Orbital, did you record them yourself, or did FDev bring you out to a recording studio?
Okay. When was that? That was 2017, I think, almost exactly 2 years ago. It was either May or June. I had a visit to Frontier and then do a few lines. It was a group of us, about 10 of us, different people from different areas of the community. I think if you'd see at the time, most people who went along, the Frontier forums, that they'd been along, and people just, basically the idea was to record a couple of lines, like you hear the security forces use sometimes, or the little background here and there. The idea was to do that, but when I got there, they actually asked me if I wanted to voice Obsidian Orbitals. That was a bit of a surprise.
Well,
Yeah,
by
of
the
course,
way,
I was happy to do that, but
when mentioning Obsidian Orbital, that station was built by a community goal, right?
that's it, yeah.
Was that somehow initialized by you or your community, or did it come from somewhere else?
The community, the different parts of the community had been pushing for stations in different areas of the galaxy for quite a long time, and I don't think Obsidian Orbital was the first one to be constructed in that way, but it was EGX 2015, I think it was. I did an interview with Sandra Samarco and Michael Brooks. Michael Brooks was executive producer at the time, and I asked, because basically at that point all the stations within the bubble, there's no stations outside the bubble, so always liked Nebula, and I just asked Sandra and Michael if we'd ever get a station and they were kind of Sandro kind of gave a bit of a sly smile and said it's possible. I've pushed it a little bit. When he got home, I put a little meme together, a Nebula goat. Just this picture of a goat image where it looked like a nebula in the shape of a nebula, and just kind of saying Nebula goat is lonely. I think or something like that. Want some stations. Got repeated a bit on Twitter and a little bit here and there. It was a community thing, really. People just kept pushing them, asking Frontier if it would happen, and in the end, Frontier said, "Yeah, we'll do a community goal and choose which nebula it would be in." There was some talk of being in Barnard's Loop at some point, but that didn't happen. It ended up being in the Pleiades.
And it doesn't have a shipyard.
Doesn't. I don't know. Frontier don't seem to like or to be too keen on giving these far out stations too many resources, do they? I don't know.
I mean, there are stations with a shipyard or outfitting down there in the Pleiades, but why not Obsidian Orbitals? I always wondered.
Well,
It's so
I think they
special.
want to keep them rare. Yeah, I think they want to keep them rare for some reason. Maybe they're up to something. Just creating
if it
new
was
rumors.
the first one, and then they added some other stations later that do have a shipyard.
It could be that they just really want the bulk of the gameplay carried on inside the bubble. I mean, if you start giving sources available everywhere, then the player base is going to start splitting up. You're going to have a lot of players in the Pleiades and a lot of players in Colonia, and no one's ever really going to congregate. It could be something to do with that.
Yeah, I always think there's a reason, a special reason for stuff like that, and so I think they maybe they keep the count of shipyards low because they have actually some content planned that might interfere with that, or the other way around.
It's all, always possible. It's just never really know.
Yeah, it's up to
Well,
speculation.
Yeah, you can speculate a lot. Frontier don't always like to say what they're thinking with those sort of things. At least I don't. At least that's the impression I get.
Yeah, they're not that transparent on their choices.
Yeah, they do their thing, and that's it.
Well, still always looking forward for what they come up next with next.
Next
Yeah.
update, you mean?
Do you have
with
some
Nick.
speculations for what the big update next year might be?
Yeah, so you saw the leak that come out? Did you see that?
Yes, we
I
saw
didn't
it.
really look much into that one, to be honest.
You didn't look too much. Is that because you didn't want spoilers, or because you didn't think it would be?
Oh, I'm okay with spoilers, so...
Space legs!
Yeah. So yeah, basically the leak come out. What was it, a month ago or so, and that kind of said legs and base building. I think base building's a bit of a surprise for most people, and a lot of people feel the leak is probably not legitimate. I don't know one way or another. I don't know any more than anyone else on it, and I haven't. Pretty much everything I saw when I went to Frontier is now out there, so everyone knows.
That Sue was right.
Yeah. Since the leak come out, pretty much everything it was revealed up to this point, up to 24th of May, has been accurate. The next Planet Coaster expansion would be Ghostbusters, and they got that right. They got
Also?
all the
Wow.
Jurassic World information right up to this point. So, at least up till this point, the leak has been accurate.
So there is
Well,
some
maybe we get
gravity
space
in
legs.
there, I guess.
I mean, obviously, that whoever did the leak, maybe they just had 6 months worth of information and they made up. Of course, because one of the other things on there was a Lego game. I think Lego Star Wars or something, and it seems a bit unlikely that Frontier would release, a Lego game. I don't think they've got the.
Has someone
who knows?
analyzed how likely would it to just how likely would it be to just guess those changes that has been proven or turned out to be true?
Yeah, I mean, they can only really go so far with lucky guesses. I personally think. I mean, expansion for Planet Coaster is going to be Ghostbusters, and that's going to come out on with a set release. The leak also said it was going to be Planet Zoo for this year's big game. They got
Yeah.
that right.
That's true indeed.
So yeah, could easily be. Guess after a certain point, you've got more chances of winning the lottery than getting lucky guesses right. Five, six, 7 times in a row.
I have to be honest. When I heard the title Planet Zoo, I actually kind of expected you to. I kind of expected the game to be about being a god that actually keeps planets in a zoo. That would be
That's actually a pretty nice idea. That is.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good
and I
idea.
was kind of disappointed to just get some real world
tycoon
Jurassic
game.
Park. Still interesting though.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I think 2020 there's a good chance it's going to be Space Leagues, and not just because of the. Because when you think about the things Frontier have said they want to release for the game, and they have said in the past that they're going to do atmospherics at some time. They have said that they want to do. Frontier are a business, and when you think what content they could release, that's. How can they monetize atmospheric planets? Not very easily, but how can they monetize Space Leagues?
Pretty easy.
Oh,
I think that's
Comparison at least.
that's a really
cosmetics
really
for Space Leagues.
difficult one.
They can start with ship walking, so
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Space Legs into the game, there's all sorts of things you can put into the game to sell. You can start selling clothes. You can start selling bits and pieces for the ships or whatever else.
Well, start selling
Location
more
is
clothes.
considered the home for where you're walking around. Yeah, cosmetics is
Yeah. And
just that
I think
alone. It makes sense that Frontier would look at it in that way.
that's actually one way of paying for a game I prefer. Cosmetics. And
Yeah,
that's
it's-
the only kind of microtransaction that's actually it's okay. It's not bad, it's not
It doesn't
well,
really
it's not
damage the
good
game.
either, but it actually gives you the opportunity to change your character to your liking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, and as a business,
No
if Frontier are looking at making what change could we put into the game that's going to sell more cosmetics?
yeah,
Of that, maybe we will get atmospheric planets, but you can't really sell cosmetics around atmospheric planets, can you? But you can sell a lot of
When you say
cosmetics around.
atmospheric planets, what do you think? How many different types of planets are included in that one?
There's a chart somewhere, and I don't know if I've still got it.
Or what would you prefer? Or what
Wouldn't
would you
be-
like to see the most?
Desert planets
It
for
definitely would-
sure.
gas giants.
Yeah, gas giants. It wouldn't be Earthlikes, obviously, because that's a huge amount of
You
work.
can just go outside for that.
Won't happen anytime soon. But
What I really
Some
like to
fun-
see would be lava worlds, or be able to land on them.
other worlds would be great. Yeah.
Welcome
What
to
come
hell.
first would be, welcome to hell. I suspect what would be first is Mars of today, maybe Venus. I suspect that's what Frontier
Oh,
would
Venus is
do first.
also nice.
I think also Earth-like worlds landing on them wouldn't really make sense without Space Legs too. Because
Yeah.
obviously you won't be able to land everywhere, just on designated starports.
I think there might be a way to implement atmospheric landing without actually implementing it. That might be something that could accompany the SpaceX update. And if you guys remember Freelancer and the way you docked on planet there, that's actually something
Or what's
I
that game coming
think
out?
possible.
Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. Have you seen that? That uses the same.
I think so.
Something that's
I
coming
think-
out later this year. It's not out yet.
Oh yeah. Then I know. Yes. Of course.
Sort of like that Cowboys in Space type game, I think.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking
mean-
forward to that.
That atmospheric planets is the thing I want to see the most, but whether or not.
Yeah. I'd like to
Who
see
knows at this point?
desert ones or snow ones with
Um,
snowstorms, with desert
Oh yeah.
sandstorms.
Yeah, and Zenith has been asking
Just
questions,
weather in
and
general.
now he's finally we've got around can go around to get around to one of his questions, and he's been asking while we're on the topic of future updates, what are your thoughts on fleet carriers?
Carriers. Well, you know, that's kind of a weird one because I think I've always wanted to be able to purchase larger ships. I like the idea of being able to ships, capital class ships, mega ship size, or whatever else. Question of what do you do with them? Having these, but how would they work? Would they just be a
Yeah.
mobile base? Yeah, that's great. I'd like a mobile base, but then the gameplay with them, like owning.
Well,
To see, I'd like to
that's-
see them, own a fleet carrier. If someone goes out, scouts out a ring system, finds a load of void opals there, then you just jump your carrier there, and that guards it, that protects it, and you can load up your fleet carrier with millions and millions of void opals. No, that'd be neat.
yeah.
But then, if you still want, do the fleet carriers have combat?
Oh,
Well-
yeah, that's the thing, because we have mega ship combat actually in the game right now, so
Yeah.
it would be counterintuitive not to have it with.
It'd be weird not to have it, but how would that
Yeah,
work if
but
someone's
yeah,
attacking
you'd
your
have-
mega ship and they're in solo?
You also have to fit that into the law somehow.
Yeah, but how do you defend your mega ship if it's being attacked from someone who's in solo?
AI captains.
Not appear in their solo instance, which would equally be weird. Carrier, say mega ship, but fleet carrier, whatever.
Well, I think hiring AI pilots would be an option.
Would be nice. Yeah.
I mean, we
but you-
already have that somehow for ship
That just
crew.
it just would have been it would have to be expanded.
Yeah, exactly.
It may be what this, going back to that leak again, if be a thing. It may be that Frontier were looking at fleet carriers and what could we add to fleet carriers in terms of gameplay? Saying base building is planetary base building. Maybe it's space-based stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be too difficult to implement.
It seems quite reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the engine is actually laid out for that, but well, Frontier has been achieving a lot of stuff lately, so.
Yeah,
Yes,
but also on
everything
the other
possible.
side, we got a lot of bugs with the newest update.
Yeah, well, that happens. They always work on those.
And you've been playing the game a bit longer than me and Michael have, so I thought that the amount of bugs that we've just gotten through the April update was massive. Can you tell us if something like that has been happened before, or was that indeed the biggest wave of bugs so far?
Well, I'll probably be told I'm wrong on this, but personally I think it was far worse in the early days. Frontier used to be much quicker with patch releases on updates, whereas now they kind of accumulate a bug fix after so many weeks or so many months. What would happen is we'd get a patch release, or two later there'd be a point release, and then another day or two later there'd be another point release. Doing rolling releases like that until the game was in a pretty much reasonable state. When the update would first drop, it could sometimes be in a very bad state, completely game breaking, not just a few bugs here and there, but literally messed up. It was
We
like
have
that. Early 2015
Recently?
it was like that.
Oh, okay. I thought we had that
So-
recent.
No, well, isn't it? I mean, with the Beyond update, getting a lot of disconnects. There was a lot of disconnects, wasn't there, after the Chapter 4 update?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah,
that-
lots of disconnects.
I think that might have.
With the pause, wasn't there, where the game would kind of freeze up for 10, 15, 20 seconds.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that thing
Oh.
that
Kind
was
of move
really
again.
annoying.
Oh yeah.
Personally, I think Frontier kind of got better with it.
Yeah, well, they,
That's not to say that there's not bugs.
what is
I mean, there's a lot
your
of bugs. But
what is your opinion about the new bug tracking system with voting?
it's good if Frontier actually what's going on their end. Because I've noticed, at least when I last looked at it, the things that I've seen myself, and I know they're in the game, but Frontier haven't actually acknowledged them. Okay, is that Frontier don't agree those bugs are there, or is it just they haven't seen them yet, or is it that they check it themselves yet? Yeah, so it's it's a good system, but not 100% any of the wiser of what Frontier are doing their end. Acknowledged. Why is it not acknowledged? Is it because it hasn't been looked at? Well, I think it's much bigger step than a better step than what we had.
yeah, well, I think
it's a big step
I
up
think
from
so
that.
too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
definitely
good.
better than what was there before. Because I actually dislike the way you reported issues on the forum, because it felt kind of off. It didn't feel right to do it that way. If you're used to reporting bugs through bug trackers.
Yep. No, I think they've done pretty good with it.
Yeah.
It's just that would be my only the downside is that you don't necessarily know. May not be acknowledged, but I think generally, if you just want an overview of where the game's standing at the moment on certain bugs, I think the issue tracker's very, very good for that. Big improvement anyway of the forums.
Yeah, and there are still people complaining about not that about there not being any improvements to the game or the systems like that. But as long as I've been playing Elite, it's been update after update after update. So
Yeah, people still say the game's the same as it was when it was released, but that's demonstrably not true. So
yeah, indeed.
Game is great, and even better than what it before was.
I think from what I heard, from what I hear, it's an entirely different game now than it was 4 years ago.
they've added a lot. I think there's still the argument to be made that some people say it's not really the additional features they've added that's the problem for them. I think some people feel that it's still the same. Actually, and some people just have issues with the nature of the gameplay in Elite. But if you don't like the gameplay, then why are you playing Elite?
Yeah.
It's just I don't really like chess, but they're sitting there playing it anyway. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? I don't like football. I don't like kicking a ball, but you still play football,
Yeah, true.
Game that's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's been
but-
the best update for you personally so far?
I think the Beyond update was pretty much the best one. Well, that said, the first part of Horizons, I guess, was the best update. Planets, because obviously before that, it just you were flying around in space, not down on planets, and that opened up the game for exploration. It wasn't perhaps quite as much gameplay down on the planets as a lot of people would like. Just the fact that you can go out and see all these thousands of different planets, and you can go down to the surface of them and drive around, or you can fly up above the 1,000 light years up, or hundreds of light years above the galaxy, and just land on a planet and then look up at the sky, and you're seeing Milky Way. That was an amazing update.
Yeah, I think
And
it added a
chapter
lot.
4 of Beyond was a really good one.
Well, I started the game with Horizons already being out, so
Yeah, me too.
So
After that.
I don't really know the difference, but I can just imagine because it's actually an entire mode of new gameplay.
Yes, it's
even
very
though if you can only drive around on the planet, it's driving around in opposition to flying around. So
Yeah, it's just different, isn't it? Yeah, it'd be the same again if they ever introduce atmospheric worlds. Just the ability to
there's gonna be a third
fly
world.
through an atmosphere, and you'll have clouds, you'll have weather
Ah, yes.
and things like that. And that just alone open the game up a lot.
Yeah, it would. So back to you. What's your favorite ship in game? Which one are you flying?
Well, everyone will probably know that I've nearly always flying the Asp Explorer. All the time now is the Crate Phantom, just because generally it's better overall than the Asp. Slightly less manoeuvrable, but it's a better ship than the Asp. It's simply because I don't like the large ships. I'm not a fan of the Anaconda or the other large ships. Big ships I much prefer the medium and small ships, so that's why I stick with the Crate or stick with the Asp. Do everything I like to do in terms of my ideas. But as for the ship that I like the most, Mark 3. I enjoy flying.
Good old
Yeah, it
cool.
doesn't have all the functionality that I'd want. It's not got the best jump range, but just in terms of overall ship that I just enjoy, especially in VR. The
Oh, yeah, you're
Cowboy
playing in
Bebop,
VR.
yeah. I do, yeah.
Ah,
Obviously, I like to capture footage, and capturing footage in VR is the quality is not as good as it is from capturing from a. I don't play in VR perhaps as much as I'd like.
but you do recommend it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. So it's probably one of the best VR games out there, really. I haven't tried with the new generation of VR headsets yet. No way out. I haven't had the chance to try any of them yet. So, but yeah, I guess it depends how powerful computer you need those for those, and how you would.
Yeah.
How do you think about big ships like the large ones? What's your favorite?
Well, I've spent quite a bit of time flying the Anaconda. I haven't spent a lot of time, even in all these years, really, flying the Cutter or Corvette. So I couldn't really favorite one because I haven't spent the necessary time with them to.
Okay.
They're just not really my favorite ships.
And where did you use the Anaconda for?
Anaconda, a bit of everything. Combat. I've done it for Thargoid hunting.
Okay.
I've done a bit of exploring with it. And activities, really.
What's
Larger ships, I guess, are better
coolest?
in.
What's the coolest thing you've found while exploring?
There's so many things.
Have you
Just
gotten
look at his
any?
videos.
Have you gotten any POI on like EDSM?
Use EDSM.
You don't?
Violence. No, I don't use EDSM. No.
Oof.
Nothing against it. I think it's great. I just for my
You don't have
games, I tend to
to.
just stick to
You
the.
don't have to use it to submit POIs, by the way.
I know.
But so
I mean,
you
I-
didn't
I
submit
use-
any,
I've never submitted anything to EDSM. No.
not to the forums either. So no official POI.
I
or
think
anything.
perhaps to an extent it's kind of different for me in a way, because I've obviously it's interesting. I'll just make a video on it, or I'll make a live stream on it, and a lot
Yeah.
of people will see it.
True.
I don't really use the forums a lot. If I want someone to see something, if I want people to see something, then it's pretty much people are going to see it.
Yeah. So is there anything you're still looking to experience in the game?
Yeah, Space Leagues and atmospheric planets.
Oh, me too, for
Okay.
sure.
So besides that,
I think probably at this point I've done most of the things I want to do. I've got to the point where I just do the things that I enjoy doing, which is mostly exploring. I do like doing that. I like doing combat. Everyone I think probably knows I'm not a massive fan of combat, but I do like doing a bit of combat now and then. But in terms of having any goals now, I don't think there's anything I'm set for. I just like flying around and exploring the galaxy. And I'd like,
A little bit of
I'd like to
everything.
outfit them. A little bit of everything. There's another. You can always say it. There's another ship you'd like to outfit. There's another ship you'd like to buy. But for me, it's just part of all the game now. Been playing it for so long, or what it is, but playing Elite is playing Elite. I don't really have any set goals anymore.
So it's
Just
just
Are
top into the world and do
are
whatever
you
I like
triple
to do.
elite already?
Elite? No.
Oh.
People don't believe that. Okay, that's one of the reasons for that is simply because, as I was saying early on, with the multiple game accounts, I tend to, depending on what I want to do, I may spend a couple of days or a couple of weeks on one game account, and then I'll be a few days on another game account, and it is a spread across. I mean, I play it on the PlayStation as well.
How many
With your-
hours are you playing per day?
Never looked on the amount of hours I've played total. How many hours do I play per day?
Frameshift drive
Few days without playing. I go quite often without playing. Sometimes I may only get to play once or twice a week.
Yeah.
The amount of hours per day I play, but amount of hours per week I get to play. To say, I guess it depends on the week.
Didn't catch that.
Difficult to say. I guess it depends on the week. No week is the same.
Uh-huh.
It could be as low as 5 hours a week. There's some weeks maybe 20 hours in the week.
So an average of 12 and a half.
Recently, yeah, but other times an update comes out and then 5 hours every day, if I can fit that in. Yeah, it really depends. It's not a case that I'm not sitting on Elite all day, every day. I couldn't do that. I wouldn't have the time to do that. I mean, I do 3 YouTube videos a week minimum. I like to try and do 5 if I can. Each video 5 to 10 hours.
Yeah, it's
30, 40 hours a week on YouTube, and then communities as well. I've got all the comments to manage. Help with the Discord.
Quite a lot, isn't it?
Thanks to people like Raptors. Really great on the Discord.
Yeah, I'm great.
Yeah, you are. No, you're fantastic. A lot of help there.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Time with things like that, and then there's the other games I play because I do other YouTube videos. Like I said earlier on, YouTube's probably % of my content on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
much
then
wondering-
with family and work.
What for work are you doing?
As
If
I
I
like.
may
Well,
ask.
YouTube is my main line of work now,
What?
which is
Oh, really?
pretty good.
It's-
It's my
What?
main line of work now, so it's
Sorry, I didn't get that. What did you say?
YouTube is my main line of
Oh,
work.
yeah.
YouTube content creator, so that's my main line of work. But I have got another business I run, which is music distribution. I'm involved
Oh,
in
damn.
music.
Okay.
So I've been doing that for about 10 years or so, and that was my main line of business until the last couple of years or so. I guess the last 2 years I've been able to.
I might chat you up on that later.
Okay.
Or do you want to tell us which is it an aggregator that you work with, or what is it?
I work with them, but I don't run one of those. I've got my own record label basically, and I distribute it through mine digital distributors to. There's like the aggregators you say, they distribute through Amazon and iTunes and.
I didn't catch the name. Did you?
Do you
tell
know
us?
digital distribution of music? Do you?
You're cutting
Know
out.
much about
again.
that?
Yeah, well, I'm
Let
a musician.
with the mic a bit. You are okay. Have you got any music?
Well, I release my stuff on Bandcamp. But
Okay.
I've been looking for an aggregator, and also, well, I do have a label, but they don't distribute my music or anything. They're just backing me on things like running the radio.
I mean, if you wanted your music on Amazon or iTunes or something like that, then someone for you. I can let you know someone later.
Yeah, sure. I'd like that.
Put you in touch. I can't guarantee they'll be able to help you, but do sign people up, and they just help distribute your music through through the various
Well-
digital platforms. So
Better than nothing, always. I like that very much. So
I'll send you the details on a private message
Nice.
later on. Then
yeah, thanks. So we're closing in on the end. You said you only have an hour. I don't know how much time you have left.
another. No.
Come again?
Better run off because it's Friday evening and that's normally family time. I'll get in trouble otherwise.
Okay.
Ooh, family troubles.
Family troubles, I'll be in trouble. But
I think
No
then
worries.
one more last question. What was your best moment in Elite?
Distant Worlds 1 was probably my favourite time within Elite, and that's not to say that Distant Worlds 2 wasn't great, because it was absolutely fantastic. I just think, Distant Worlds 1 would always stay with me because it was the first time any sort of scale.
Yeah, you can't actually.
That were really good. There was some of it I've done on videos on. We've done on a lot of canyon flying. We did formation flying through canyons, some racing in SRVs. There was one mountain climb,
Oh yeah.
30 or 40 kilometer mountain. Yeah, that was great.
That was on Distant Worlds 2, right?
Did one on Distant Worlds 2 as well. Yeah, well, we did
Yeah.
that with you was along with that. You and
I was
Really?
at 2, but yeah.
yeah.
It ended not very well.
Yeah, I'm kind of
No,
jealous
I
that I couldn't, that I didn't play the game for Distant Worlds 1 because
Distant Worlds 1 was amazing.
yeah,
Again, Distant Worlds 2 was
it-
it's just it's the first time, isn't it? It's the first
yeah,
time
it
doing
is the first time for
something like
me.
that.
So Distant Worlds 2 kind of lives up to the first one for me, but I think the
Yeah,
first one still is special. It set the path for Distant Worlds 2 and so many other experiences like this.
In many regards, Distant Worlds 2 was just better in absolutely every way. It was bigger, and just so well organised. There's so many more people on there. The case that I think Distant Worlds 1 was better. It's just, in my memories, I remember Distant Worlds 1 more, and that's just because it was so many first-time experiences.
Yeah, I wish I was there. I would have loved it.
Yeah, and we've got
still-
to remember that Distant Worlds 1 happened only shortly after the release of Horizons in December, and Distant Worlds 1 started just 1 or 2. Certainly wasn't more than a month later. Maybe it was a month later.
But just like Distant Worlds 2 did with Beyond.
Exactly. So they timed that to release with all the new things to be discovered out there in space and the new exploration mechanics. So that made a lot of difference as well.
Yeah, and it made a lot of sense. Also. Well, okay. Then let's close it up here. I think this was a great interview. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for having me
I
here.
actually got to know a lot about you that, well, most people don't know. I heard you don't give interviews like this, so we're honored.
All that often, so it's just good. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it was a rare opportunity. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Then, well, thanks for listening, everyone. We had Obsidian and yeah, it was great. Any last words? Do you want to say something smart for everyone?
Well, I wish I had smart things to say. I'm terrible with stuff like that. Me.
Something.
Hope your hand is an
to be
amazing
here.
hand.
Words of
Special
wisdom or
hand.
anything you want to impart on the people.
No words of wisdom, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, sometimes no wisdom is
Trust
still
me.
wisdom.
Not to swear online, so
Still, thank you for being here. I really enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, tune in next week when we have another interview. I hope, since we've been on and off with interviews in the
Wow.
past weeks. Still, we're trying to
It's been a
make
bit
it possible.
difficult lately.
Yeah, we're trying our best. So stay tuned, everyone.
I think you do great.
Thanks.
You've got
you.
a great thing going. Yeah, keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah,
I
we
think
will.
it'll pick up even more and more as it goes.
Yep.
Oh, and I think just keep going. That's the trick with I mean, you say any parting words? I say for any person who's a live streamer or a content creator of any type.
Yay!
It's
Don't
persistent.
give up. The biggest thing I found with it is consistency.
Yeah.
On
All
a
right.
regular basis. Yeah.
So, yeah, once again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here, Obsidian, and we wish you guys a good night and a nice weekend for everyone. Yeah, bye.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.